Hi, everyone.
This is amazing.
You want to come closer? Come a little closer. Can everyone hear me okay? Perfect. So, my name's Robert, and I'm the founder of the company. And so I started out as a pharmaceutical CEO. And then I couldn't be evil anymore. That was supposed to be a joke. No one laughed because it was actually not funny.
No, because they're not from the pharmaceutical industry.
That's okay, everyone knows pharmaceutical CEOs. This microphone is not working right. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Every once in a while.
Every once in a while, it's going in and out. Okay. So basically, I'm also a number theorist mathematician. And we are part of a larger group called Strathspey, which has 16 companies in it. And last thing I wanted to do was start another company. I founded like 8 companies, serial entrepreneur. And I was always interested in mathematics. And so I discovered about a year or so ago the first prime number pattern that allows you to predict prime numbers infinitely. A new type of number called quasi-prime came out of that, which basically allowed us to create an exclusion criteria, or what's called a contradiction algorithm, to predict prime numbers. And on a laptop computer, was able to do it for the first several trillion prime numbers in just a couple of seconds. Along with that, we also discovered that we can basically correlate the sum of 2 integers and the product of 2 integers. So they're entangled. The sum and the product. So that'd be like 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 times 2 equals 4. But 3 times 2 equals 6, and 3 plus 2 equals 5. You have this divergent separation. And there's actually an entanglement that goes on between those numbers. So just from the public key, we can factorize now prime numbers, and it doesn't really matter their size. And it's a geometric relationship between the two, because if you know the sum, you can basically divide the sum and then square it, and then subtract the public key, which then gives you the differential, which then you square, and it gives you the distance between the 2 primes. So I'll present on that tomorrow too. It's a sea change difference, and what it basically means is that there needed to be a new encryption that's not factor-based. So all the current encryptions that we would consider, like the state-of-the-art RSA, even if you don't believe RSA is state-of-the-art, elliptic curve encryption, and SHA-3 all use factoring as part of their methodology, which is tied to this one-way street function in mathematics. The only way to get there would be through the sieve of Eratosthenes or different sieve approaches, but it's not equational. So you can't actually derive, you have to do a search still. So the larger the number, the longer it takes for the search. We have actually surpassed that and gone well beyond it. And so as a result, we decided we had to create a whole new encryption. So I created a whole new encryption over the Christmas break this past year. And basically the new encryption is tied to what's called Octonian mathematics. So Octonian mathematics, as part of the process, we found that there is a language in math. And the language has nouns and verbs and syntax. And the nouns are numbers, the verbs are math constants, and the syntax is organized by geometry inscribed within circles. So it's actually very simple, and it's all musical. It's all music-based. So the discovery of prime number pattern was associated with a 24-hour clock because it was musical related. Now, just one thing to give you a little teaser on tomorrow is that every prime squared, how many math geeks do we have in the room? Well, a few people raising hands. Basically, every prime squared is always over the number 3, so 5 and above for primes, is always a multiple of 24 plus 1. So we discovered this, we published this. Numberphile, which is like a nerd program on YouTube, basically did a 17-minute segment on it to prove it, and it was correct. So you take 5 times 5 is 25, right? That's 1 times 24 plus 1. 7 times 7 is 49, that's 2 times 24 plus 1. 13 times 13 is 169, and that's 7 times 24 plus 1, without exception. It's because it's a sine-cosine relationship, and actually it's because they're... Hello?
I got the math.
Huh? There we go. So actually it's because it's 12 notes in an octave and it's music. So 12 notes, 24. So the 13th note would be the next octave, right? So basically this math then also pointed to us finding new math constants. And those new math constants have equational values, which then we basically ascribe those new math constants to music. And that music is written by AI.
Hold on 1 second. Hold it. Just keep holding it.
I gotta hold it up here. See, this should have had like a little warning thing. Don't hold the bottom of the mic. So basically, the math constants are by equation. We assign those math constants that are infinite values, just like pi and phi and alpha and Euler. We assign them to musical notes, and musical notes are just super efficient taxonomy from a storage perspective and everything else, because it already has a time signature associated with it and a frequency associated with it. And because we discovered how to infinitely propagate math constants, which the math constants themselves are actually infinite. They're not limited to the pi, phi, Euler that we know about. They're infinite through Cartesian coordinates. So we basically assign those values through equation, which are then infinite. And we have it associated with a musical note, which is finite. So you have infinitude of data that's embedded within one musical note, which is finite. The AI writes its own music and it's never repeated. So it's all AI-driven music. And you end up with a public key that then has two associated, we call it the proton key, has two associated electron and positron keys that are both infinite. In order to unlock the public key, if you're not the right person, you have to basically be able to mirror match the electron, which is the past form of the music that's already been written by the AI. And the positron is the future form of the music that has not yet been written by the AI. They're entangled through mirror symmetry. So it utilizes Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, and basically you'd have to be able to mirror match all the equations that are yet unpublished on math constants that are not known by academia, and you'd have to do it at 1 billion times a second to be able to mirror match in symmetry the two other number series, which would actually be the private keys. Now that's a lot. I'm not going to test you on that. That's a lot to remember, but I'm going to go through more detail on it. And without me actually speaking more about it, one thing I'll say, the general ethos of the company is we believe in data sovereignty, both for companies as well as for individuals. So we'll have a consumer product. We're also going to have a government type of product and an enterprise product as well. We're super excited to launch this. I'm very grateful to be here and very grateful to each of you to come to our event tonight. We don't really know much in this industry. We're totally new to it, but we're super excited to be here and to launch something we think that could have potentially a significant impact on the industry and also hopefully benefit individuals as we all face this issue right now of identity theft, as we all face this issue of our Nest cameras being able to see everything we do and listen to everything we say on our phone. Basically, every time we talk about something, then the advertisement for the thing we're talking about shows up. And that's a real problem. And we want to help address that because we do believe in data sovereignty. And we believe that human rights and data rights, digital rights, should be synonymous. So with that, we're going to go ahead and roll the video on Time AI. And thank you so much for coming. And please come tomorrow to the math discussion and presentation we have on all of Time AI, as well as on the current encryption paradigm and how the math discoveries we basically made impacts that. So thanks very much, and roll the video.
You are unlike any other. A beautifully unique human being with integral patterns. Patterns that become data. Data that mirrors who you are, making its ownership and privacy essential to your individuality. In addition to all of your transactions, messages, and financial account data, today your private in-home interactions, geolocation, and even your own DNA are protected only by a single static encryption algorithm, now ready Fibonacci sequence repeats every 24 cycles when viewed using digital root analysis, a pattern that can be represented with an icosatetragon spiral. By positioning integers in 24 positions for every 360 degrees, Brown Sterling solved one of the greatest mathematical mysteries of all time, identifying for the first time an infinitely predictable prime number pattern. These patterns also reveal an entirely new classification of non-prime numbers called quasi-primes, as well as a new understanding of how mathematical constants interact with primes and quasi-primes to propagate and mirror reflect in infinite wave conjugations. Academic researchers believe this discovery may be the key to unlocking a new, unified physics cosmology, a theory of everything. This new discovery enables large prime factorization using standard computers, thus rendering obsolete all static factorizing encryptions presently used in public key cryptography. More than ever before, now is the time for a new, adaptive encryption granting you security and full control of your digital individuality. A new paradigm of data sovereignty made possible only with time. Time AI is an entirely new classification of data privacy called quantum encryption, an impenetrable system utilizing 5 dimensions of encryption technology. Rather than depending on prime numbers in only a 2-dimensional static matrix, Time AI introduces time and high-speed oscillations of infinite wave values of irrational numbers as its encryption modality. Using the infinite variations within music, composed real-time by artificial intelligence, Time AI generates quantum encryption keys as unique as your own iris. Each quantum public key is paired with 2 quantum private keys that are entangled through mirror symmetry mathematics in value, time exposure, and oscillation speed. These quantum keys change at the nanoscale of time, directed by state-of-the-art AI technology harnessing time's entanglement, 1 key from the past and 1 key from the future, changing the number series 1 billion times per second with no pattern. The speed of the AI oscillations allowed 31,709 years of oscillations in a single second of data authentication. To unlock Time AI, the future and the past must converge perfectly in a split second, unpredictable by any known intelligence in the universe. And, if ever attacked, Time AI learns, forever adapting and evolving its defenses through incalculable and infinite variations. Time AI is a simple, elegant software solution that drops easily into any computer or IoT mobile device with standard memory and storage capacities. It is so adaptive, so impenetrable, and so